John. When Judas had left them, Jesus said, "Now is the Son of Man glorified, and God is glorified in him. If God is glorified in him, God will also glorify him in himself, and God will glorify him at once. My children, I will be with you only a little while longer. I give you a new commandment. Love one another. As I have loved you, so you also should love one another. This is how all will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
So my very first year as a priest, I was at Little Flower down in Bethesda, right down the road. And it was Holy Thursday. And in those days, they only washed the feet of men. So these 12 men from Little Flower come up, and the pastor goes and washes their feet. And after the Mass, my sister came up to me and said, "That was beautiful. Jesus washes the feet of the 12 CEOs. Because that's what it was. All these guys in their beautiful suits, and they're slipping off their Gucci loafer. And it's true that when you are, as a pastor, when I wash the feet of people, they are the cleanest feet you will ever see. People, even the men get pedicures. It's scrubbed. There's nothing under the toenails. Whereas the closest I think I've ever come to a Jesus experience of washing feet was when I was at the University of Maryland, and you got a 19-year-old guy flipping off his tennis shoe and running to and peeling off a sock. Oh, Lord, it was horrible. And you wonder, why am I talking about Holy Thursday and feet washing and the 5th week of Easter? It's because the gospel that we hear in today's Mass is, in fact, the lines that come right after the feet washing in John 13. So Jesus washes the feet. Now, the feet that Jesus washes are closer to actually washing somebody's shoes while they were walking, or somebody's work boots, more like it. These were the feet of fishermen. These were the feet that had worn sandals, that had walked around on dirty, unkept places. So when Jesus is washing feet, he's washing some pretty gross feet. He's washing some stinky feet, some dirty feet. And then he says, "I give you a new commandment, to love one another." Well, not that the Lord is exactly inaccurate. It's not a new commandment, because he already quotes Leviticus earlier in the Gospels as saying, "Love God and love your neighbor." So what's new about this commandment is this whole level of being willing to wash, to do the hard thing, the uncomfortable thing, to be willing to serve in a way that challenges us, that actually puts us on a cross. So often our service can be not necessarily, it's beautiful to go and do volunteer work, but sometimes that volunteer work can be sort of self-serving, like, "Oh, I help out in my kid's school." Well, that's great, but you're kind of helping yourself out by just helping the kid out, you know? That's great. Jesus doesn't want you to stop doing that, but I think he is challenging us to a new level, a level that allows ourselves to be inconvenienced, a level that allows ourselves to be grossed out, a level that allows ourselves to be challenged in a deeper way. And each one of us has to discern what the Lord, perhaps for some it's going and sitting next to the kid in class that nobody else is talking to. Maybe it's actually going and helping to doing a project and exhibiting a more servant leadership. For some, it might be just picking your underwear up off the bedroom floor. But Jesus is asking us to do something more than what we're just doing. I just saw some nudging going on. But the point is not just to do something hard. The point is not just to get onto the cross. The point is the resurrection. that no matter where we are called to be missionaries of the resurrection. That Christ didn't just die, he rose again. And so when Jesus says, love as I have loved, as he has loved is the crucifixion and the resurrection. And so our first goal should always be to be healers, to be uniters, to be people that bring peace and not chaos. And so it is we see that the Lord allowed himself to be inconvenienced on the cross, but he didn't just stop there. He pours himself out into the Eucharist. God himself comes body, blood, soul, and divinity onto our altar to feed you and me. Talk about an inconvenience. And yet God pours himself forth, and his life spreads in the world. And so it is that we engage in that process. We recognize we're called not just to do the hard thing, but to bring life and love and resurrection to the things that we do. To bring Jesus Christ, not just who died, but Jesus Christ who is risen and will come again. Praise be Jesus Christ.